How to transform your life, 1 hour at a time. Have you ever felt like you're stuck in a cycle, wishing for change, but unsure where to begin? The good news is, you don't need to overhaul your entire life in one grand gesture. Instead, you can start with something simple, something powerful, that fits into your daily routine. One focused hour a day. How? By committing just 60 minutes to your personal growth every single day, you set the foundation for real, lasting transformation. Whether it's an hour of physical exercise, reflection, learning, or building the skills you need for your future, each hour becomes a building block, creating momentum, clarity, and purpose. In this guide, you'll discover how making the most of just 1 hour each day can help you develop discipline, conquer procrastination, and build the life you've always dreamed of. No gimmicks, no quick fixes, just the simple, consistent power of small actions done daily. Ready to get started? The power of 1 hour. How 60 minutes a day can transform your life. Every day, you're given the same 24 hours as everyone else. Yet the difference between those who move forward in life and those who remain stuck isn't talent, luck, or intelligence. It's how they use their time. More specifically, it's how they choose to use just one focused hour each day. We live in a world filled with distractions, scrolling endlessly, complaining about circumstances, replaying routines without change. These things dominate our days. People talk about wanting change, craving better lives, but their actions remain the same. And here's the truth. Transformation doesn't require a full schedule overhaul. It only requires one committed hour, 60 minutes, 4% of your day. It's not a magical hour. The change doesn't come because time itself is powerful. It comes because you become intentional. That 1 hour, when used wisely, becomes the foundation of discipline, clarity, and personal growth. When repeated daily, it rewires how you think, how you act, and ultimately who you become. Think about how often you give away your time to things that do nothing for your growth. You scroll through your phone for hours, binge watch shows that bring you no insight, or get lost in complaints and distractions. But when was the last time you gave even 1 hour to yourself? Not to rest, not to escape, but to build, to learn, to grow? That's where most people fall short. Not because they're incapable, but because they've never decided that they're worthy of their own time. Giving yourself one focused hour is a declaration of worth. It's a signal to your mind and body that your life matters. And if you stick to it, you won't recognize yourself in a few months. You don't need grand gestures. You don't need to wait for the perfect moment or the perfect plan. What you need is a chair, a notebook, and a commitment. A quiet space where you can sit, reflect, learn, write, or take action. You need discipline more than motivation, consistency more than excitement, and above all, you need honesty with yourself. Because change starts in the mind. If your thoughts are scattered, your actions will follow. But sharpen your thinking, and your life begins to align. You'll stop wasting energy on things that don't matter. You'll start protecting your peace and pursuing the goals that truly fulfill you. All of this, every breakthrough, starts with a single hour. And don't say you're too busy. You already have the time. The question is, are you claiming it or giving it away? The truth is harsh but freeing. If you don't make time for your personal growth, life will eventually force you to make time for your regrets. Regret takes more from you than growth ever will. So use your 1 hour to take ownership. Be brutally honest. If you've been lazy, admit it. If you've been distracted, acknowledge it. If you've been waiting for someone else to save you, stop. No one is coming to rescue you, and that's empowering. Because once you realize it's your responsibility, you gain the power to change. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to know everything. You just have to show up every single day. That's how momentum is built. When others are resting, you're building. When others hesitate, you're learning. When others stay stuck, you're moving forward. That 1 hour becomes your advantage. Start simple. Use that hour to read, to reflect, to write, to build a skill or a side hustle. Even if you're not good at it yet, that's the whole point. Progress is the reward of practice. If you miss a day, don't quit. Restart. Don't let one bad day turn into a bad week or a bad month. You're not aiming for perfection. You're aiming for growth. With time, this daily hour will reshape everything. You'll notice a change not just in what you do, but in how you see yourself. You'll begin to trust yourself again. You'll become someone who keeps promises, not just to others, but to yourself. That alone is transformational. Because most people break those promises daily. They say they'll change. They say they'll try, but days pass and nothing changes. And over time, they lose belief, not in the world, but in themselves. Success isn't for the chosen few. It's for those who choose it daily. That means saying no to what drains you. That means doing the work, especially when no one's watching. That's character. That's commitment. That's how change becomes real. So don't wait for the perfect time. Set your hour. Guard it like your life depends on it, because it does. When you begin showing up for yourself every day, everything starts to shift. And when you give your time real purpose, your life follows. 1 hour, every day, starting now. That's the challenge, and that's the key to transformation. Take back your mornings. The first victory of the day starts at wake up. The way you begin your day sets the tone for everything that follows. Yet, for so many people, the first decision they make, the decision to get out of bed, feels like defeat. The snooze button becomes the symbol of hesitation, delay, and surrender. But what if that one decision, made in the silence of the early morning, is exactly where transformation begins? When you hit snooze, you're not just buying 10 more minutes of sleep. You're giving away your momentum, your ownership, and your power to lead the day. You're choosing comfort over commitment. And when that becomes a habit, you stop feeling in control. Your day begins to run you, instead of you running the day. It's easy to underestimate the significance of the morning, but those first few minutes are powerful. They are a mirror of your discipline and direction. If the first move you make is hesitation, the rest of your day will reflect it. Scattered thoughts, low energy, poor focus. But when your first move is bold, clear, and purposeful, everything changes. Getting out of bed when you say you will is not about being extreme. It's about being intentional. It's not about waking up at 4 a.m. or following a strict schedule to impress anyone. It's about building self-trust. It's about telling yourself, I do what I say I'm going to do, and then proving it the moment your alarm rings. That's the real win, not the hour itself, but the decision you made. When you choose action over comfort, you remind yourself that your goals matter more than the warmth of your blankets. That quiet victory, when no one else sees it, builds strength, integrity, and confidence. These are the qualities that compound over time. The truth is, you don't need to feel motivated to take action. Motivation often follows action, not the other way around. If you wait until you feel like it, you'll be waiting forever. Growth starts when you choose discipline before desire. Energy doesn't arrive, it's generated. And the most reliable way to generate it is to move before your mind talks you out of it. Start by reclaiming the first hour of your morning. Don't roll over and check your phone. Don't react to the noise of the world before you've even thought for yourself. Instead, start with silence, clarity, and ownership. Do something that matters to you. Move your body, write down your goals, breathe deeply, stretch, reflect, read. It doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be yours. Early mornings give you something that the rest of the day doesn't. Stillness, no distractions, no demands, no notifications, just you and your choices. It's in this quiet space that you can actually hear your own thoughts. You can check in with your vision, your priorities, your purpose. That clarity becomes your compass for the rest of the day. Most people say they want to change their life, but they keep postponing the start. They think they'll get serious next week, or after the holidays, or when things calm down. But life rarely calms down. The chaos doesn't end. The world won't give you a perfect moment. You have to create one, and that creation begins when your alarm goes off. You don't need to feel ready. You just need to decide that your growth matters enough to act. The world belongs to those who are awake, while others are sleeping, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. People who get ahead are not necessarily the smartest or most gifted. They are simply the ones who show up early and often. Let this become your standard, waking up with purpose. Refuse to let the first moments of your day be filled with hesitation, self-doubt, or delay. Make your morning a non-negotiable space for growth, not just once in a while, but every day. Because the way you start shapes everything that follows. When you win the morning, you carry that victory with you. You walk differently. You make decisions with more clarity. You speak with more conviction. You become someone who doesn't just react. You lead, and that energy compounds. One early morning becomes two. A few days become a week. A week becomes a month. And before you realize it, you've become someone new. Not because of one big change, but because of hundreds of quiet, consistent ones. Don't underestimate the power of how you start your day. And don't waste another one by giving away the first and most valuable hour to laziness, distraction, or comfort. Start it strong. Own it. Protect it. That's your edge. That's your discipline. That's your path to a better life. So tomorrow, when the alarm rings, don't argue with it. Rise. Not because it's easy, not because you're excited, but because you decided that your life is worth showing up for. This is your moment. The day begins now with you. Your future follows your focus. Why attention is everything. Every person dreams of a better future, a better body, a better income, a better life. But the truth is, most never get there. Not because they don't want it badly enough, but because their attention is scattered. In today's world, your attention is your most valuable resource. And the direction of your life depends on where you consistently place it. If your focus is fragmented, your progress will be too. If your energy is spent on things that don't matter, your goals will always feel out of reach. You can want success all day long, but if your attention is being pulled by distractions, you'll never build the momentum to get there. It's not about what you say you want. It's about what you choose to look at every day. Your life is always moving in the direction of your dominant thoughts. And those thoughts are shaped by what you allow to occupy your focus. The problem? Most distractions don't look like distractions. They look like important updates, small tasks, or notifications that feel urgent. They come disguised as harmless entertainment or other people's problems. And little by little, they rob you of the energy that should be building your future. If you're constantly reacting, checking messages, scrolling endlessly, jumping from one thought to the next, you're not in control. You're living in response mode. And when you're in response mode, you're not creating. You're just surviving. That's why taking control of your attention is the first step to taking control of your life. You must become intentional. Ask yourself daily, what am I giving my attention to? Is it helping me grow or keeping me stuck? Does it align with the person I want to become? You see, attention is like fuel. Whatever you give it to will grow. Feed your fears, and they expand. Feed your goals, and they begin to form. But you cannot feed everything. Attention is limited, so choose wisely. Focus is not natural in our current world. It has to be trained. You have to build it like a muscle. That means resisting what's easy and choosing what actually moves you forward. Every time you sit down to work, to think, to build, and you stay with it, you are strengthening that muscle. Every time you pull yourself away from distractions and back toward purpose, you're reclaiming your power, and no one will protect your focus for you. In fact, most of the world profits from stealing it. That's why it's your responsibility to guard it fiercely. Start small. Pick one area of your life that truly matters. Your health, your mindset, your craft, your business. And dedicate focused attention to it daily. Not leftovers, not half-hearted multitasking. Your best energy. When you do this consistently, something powerful happens. You shift from reactive to deliberate. You stop chasing and start building. You begin to feel progress, and progress creates confidence. The more progress you feel, the less you'll be tempted by distraction. Many people mistake busyness for productivity, but there's a world of difference. Being busy means doing a lot. Being focused means doing what counts. You can work for 5 hours and accomplish nothing, or you can lock in for one focused hour and create real momentum. Real focus feels uncomfortable at first. It forces you to face things you've been avoiding. Your fears, your gaps in discipline, your lack of clarity. But facing those things is the gateway to growth. Once you know what's been holding you back, you can begin to shift it. It's not that you need more time, you need better attention. Imagine what would happen if you gave one focused hour every day to something that builds you. One skill, one business idea, one chapter of growth. Over a year, that's 365 hours of invested energy. That kind of compound focus is how lives change. So start observing yourself. Notice when you drift. Become aware of what steals your time. Then bring yourself back. Refocus and repeat. You are not a robot. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be consistent. Protect your mind from overload. You don't need to consume everything. You don't need to know every headline or check every update. Overconsumption leads to confusion, and confusion weakens focus. Be intentional about what you allow into your brain. Choose inputs that sharpen your thinking, not dull your purpose. Because your attention doesn't just shape your productivity, it shapes your identity. The more time you spend focused on growth, effort, and meaningful progress, the more you begin to see yourself as someone capable, grounded, and in control. But if your attention is constantly hijacked, you'll feel scattered, anxious, and stuck. Not because you're broken, but because your energy is being spent without intention. Start deciding where your attention goes before the world decides for you. Set boundaries. Turn off what doesn't serve you. Say no to distractions, not because you're being rigid, but because you're building something worth protecting. The most successful people aren't distracted. They're present, deliberate, and protective of their focus. You can be one of them, but you must stop trying to do everything at once. You must stop multitasking your dreams into pieces. Choose one thing. Give it your full attention. Do it well. Then repeat it tomorrow. That's how success is built, not with noise, but with clarity. Not through luck, but through focus. That's how your future is formed. Where your attention goes, your life will follow. Build something that matters every day. Each day, you are handed a gift, time. Whether you realize it or not, that time is an open invitation. You can choose to use it to build, or you can let it slip away, waste it on distractions, routines, and reactions. Most people don't waste time intentionally. They just never stop to ask, am I using my time to build a life I'm proud of? We often live our days reacting to the world around us. The phone buzzes. We check it. A notification pops up. We click. We scroll, respond, jump from task to task. By the time the day ends, we're exhausted, but not fulfilled. We've been busy, but not productive. We've done a lot, but built nothing. That's the core of why so many people feel stuck. It's not because they're lazy or lack talent. It's because their time is being spent without intention. And when your days are filled with tasks that have no lasting value, you begin to feel empty, even if you've been moving nonstop. Here's the truth. You don't need perfect conditions to build something meaningful. You only need to begin. Maybe you don't have hours of free time. Maybe your schedule is full. That's okay. You don't need all the time in the world. You just need to claim part of it for yourself. Just 1 hour. One focused hour where your energy is invested, not just spent. Use that time to create something that matters to you. It doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be flashy. It just has to be real. Something you care about. Something that moves you forward. Maybe it's your health. Maybe it's writing a book. Maybe it's a small business idea. Maybe it's learning a skill or designing something new. Maybe it's just journaling your thoughts to gain clarity. Whatever it is, make it yours. Because here's what separates people who evolve from those who stay the same. Builders build daily. They don't wait for the perfect mood. They don't ask for permission. They don't worry if anyone's watching. They simply commit to the process, even when no one claps for them. That's what gives life meaning. Not just staying busy or checking things off a list, but showing up for a vision. Your vision. The small actions you take each day are not meaningless. They're bricks, and each one adds to the structure of the life you're creating. You don't need to figure everything out before you begin. You just need to start with what you have. Your time, your mind, your effort. Even 30 minutes of focused building today is better than 3 hours of scattered distraction. What matters is that you're moving forward with intention. It's not about perfection. It's about progress. And that progress creates purpose. When you're building something you believe in, you no longer wake up wondering how to get through the day. Instead, you ask, what can I create with this time? That shift alone transforms how you live. Most people don't need more motivation. What they need is a reason to care, a reason to grow, a reason to give their time purpose. And you don't find that reason by sitting still and hoping. It reveals itself through action. Stop telling yourself that your vision can wait. Stop letting the days pass in a blur of obligations and distractions. You don't need a dramatic change to begin. You don't need to quit everything. You just need to carve out time inside the life you already have and commit it to something that matters. And yes, it might feel uncomfortable at first. Creating something real takes effort. It requires clarity, consistency, and the courage to build even when no one understands why. You might feel alone. You might feel uncertain. But those feelings are not your enemy. They are the price of growth. The work you do in silence today will become the strength, clarity, and confidence you carry tomorrow. And over time, that hour you dedicate to building will reshape you. Not just on the outside, but on the inside. You'll feel more grounded, more focused, more in control of your life. You won't feel behind. You'll feel present. You'll stop comparing your progress to others. You'll stop chasing meaningless validation. Because when you build something meaningful, your life no longer feels like it's slipping away. You're actively shaping it. So ask yourself, what do I want to create in this life? What have I been postponing that actually matters to me? What can I start building today with the time I have? You don't have to build everything in one day, but you do have to build something. 1 hour, one step, one decision at a time. Let the world stay noisy. let others waste their time. You're building. You're not waiting for the perfect moment. You're using what you've got to create what you want. That's power. That's freedom. That's purpose. You have time. You have ideas. You have more than enough to begin. So begin today. Learn one useful thing every day. The small habit that fuels big growth. Growth doesn't happen by accident. It's not a product of luck, age, or even hard work alone. True growth comes from learning. Learning the right things that actually change how you think, how you act, and how you live. But most people don't learn intentionally. They think they'll get around to it. They plan to read that book later, watch that video eventually, or sign up for that course someday. Meanwhile, they stay stuck, frustrated that nothing is changing, even though they're not doing anything different. Here's the shift. Real progress doesn't come from doing more. It comes from knowing better. When you start learning one useful thing every day, you begin to upgrade your thinking. And when your thinking improves, your actions follow. Better actions create better results. It's that simple. This doesn't mean you need to spend hours in a classroom or read an entire book a week. One useful insight a day is enough. Just one. That one new idea could change the way you handle stress, make decisions, manage your time, or speak to the people you love. And when applied consistently, these small lessons lead to massive growth over time. Growth is not about collecting information. It's about learning things that are practical and applicable. You don't need trivia. You need tools. Insights that help you think clearer, make smarter decisions, stay calm in pressure, communicate more effectively, handle emotions and setbacks, understand yourself and others. And the amazing part is, these lessons are everywhere. A powerful quote, a podcast episode, a short chapter, a conversation with someone wise, even a mistake you made that finally taught you something. The source doesn't matter. The impact does. But you have to be hungry for it. Growth doesn't happen when you feel like it. It happens when you prioritize learning, even on busy or tired days. It happens when you say, "Today, I will learn something that helps me grow, even just one thing." When you stop learning, your thinking becomes stale. You repeat the same mistakes. You react the same way to challenges. You stop evolving. And even though your life keeps moving, your mind gets stuck at the level of your last insight. Ask yourself, what new idea challenged me this week? What have I applied to make my life better? When was the last time something I learned actually changed my behavior? Because learning is only powerful when it becomes action. Real knowledge isn't what you remember, it's what you use. Read the quote, but also reflect on it. Listen to the idea, but also apply it. Write it down. Talk about it. Practice it. When you engage with a new idea deeply, it becomes part of who you are, not just something you heard once and forgot. That's how you grow, not by chasing motivation, but by feeding your mind with useful, intentional learning. And the more consistently you do this, the more momentum you build, because learning adds layers. One idea connects to another. A spark from one day becomes a breakthrough the next. Over time, this daily habit creates compound growth. In 30 days, you'll have 30 new tools, 30 fresh insights, 30 ways to move through life more wisely. That's not theory, that's transformation. And if you ever feel stuck, uncertain, or afraid, chances are you don't need to try harder. You need to learn something new. Most fear doesn't come from danger. It comes from not knowing what to do next. And the solution is knowledge, a better way, a new strategy, a clearer path. That's why learning is a form of empowerment. It gives you confidence. It gives you control. It reminds you that no matter where you are now, you can grow out of it. You are never permanently stuck. You're just one lesson away from your next step. So make it a rule. Don't let a day go by without learning something useful. Not fluff, not distraction. Something that makes you stronger, smarter, and more self-aware. Something that helps you become the person you say you want to be. Don't just consume, absorb, reflect, practice. Teach it to someone else. Write about it. Ask how it applies to your current challenges. That's how learning sticks. That's how it transforms. You don't need to be a genius. You just need to be consistent. The people who grow the most aren't always the fastest learners. They're the ones who never stop learning. Day after day. Idea by idea. Your mind is your greatest asset. Protect it, strengthen it, sharpen it. Choose your inputs with care. Not everything that's popular is helpful. Not everything that's entertaining is educational. Be selective. Seek out what elevates your thinking, not what numbs it. The world is noisy, attention is scattered, but growth requires focus. And that focus starts with a question. What can I learn today that will help me live better tomorrow? Once you begin asking that question daily, your life starts to shift. Quietly at first, then noticeably, then permanently. So start today. Learn one useful thing. Apply it. Live it. And then do it again tomorrow. That's how transformation happens. Not all at once, but one lesson at a time. Move your body. Wake up your life. Why physical action fuels mental strength. Most people underestimate the power of movement. They think working out is only for people chasing a certain look, or that physical exercise is about getting fit for summer. But the truth is far deeper. Moving your body each day isn't just about fitness. It's about waking up your entire life. Your body holds the energy, clarity, and drive you need to pursue your goals. But if you don't move, you can't access it. You end up feeling sluggish, tired, unmotivated, not because you're doing too much, but because you're doing too little. You weren't built to sit still all day. You were made to move. Yet most people spend hours hunched over screens, draining their energy while doing nothing physical. That kind of stillness doesn't bring peace. It brings stagnation. And over time, that stagnation affects not just your body, but your mind, your mood, and your momentum. If you want to feel alive again, move. You don't need a gym membership. You don't need an intense workout plan. You don't even need a full hour. What you need is consistent, intentional movement. Walk, stretch, do push-ups, dance, lift something, move with purpose. Not for the mirror, but for the mental shift it creates. Because movement is the fastest way to change your state. The fog lifts, your thoughts clear, your excuses get quieter. Your confidence comes back. You stop being stuck in your head and start showing up in your life. When your heart is pumping and your breath is deep, your body sends a signal to your brain. I'm awake. I'm alive. I'm ready. This isn't about vanity. It's about vitality. You don't need to chase perfection. You just need to move enough to feel your own power again. That strength carries over or over into everything else you do. When you feel strong physically, you feel more resilient mentally and emotionally. There's a difference between the tiredness that comes from hard work and the heaviness that comes from doing nothing. Most people feel exhausted, not because they've done too much, but because they've done too little that energizes them. The solution isn't always more sleep or another cup of coffee. Sometimes it's just getting up and moving your body. Take a walk, do squats, stretch your arms overhead, feel your muscles engage. Let your body remind you that it's capable, that you are capable. Physical activity is a form of self-respect. It's saying, I value my health. I value my energy. I choose to show up today. When you move daily, even for just 10 or 15 minutes, it starts to become part of who you are. Not something you force, but something you live. And the more you move, the more momentum you build. Not just in your workouts, but in your entire life. It's not about intensity. It's about consistency. Showing up daily, no matter how you feel. Because there will be days when motivation disappears, when your energy feels low, when your mind tries to talk you out of it. But those are the days that matter most. That's when discipline kicks in. Discipline says, I move anyway. And that discipline doesn't just stay in the gym or on the yoga mat. It follows you into your decisions, your work, your relationships. It becomes your identity. The best time to move? In the morning. Before the noise of the world begins. Before distractions flood in. Start your day with intention, with energy. Move your body before anything else claims your attention. That early physical win gives you an edge the rest of the day can't take away. You're not doing this for anyone else. You're not chasing praise. You're not trying to impress. You're building something internal, a version of yourself that shows up strong, centered, and alive. So stop waiting for motivation. Movement generates motivation. The more you move, the better you feel. The better you feel, the easier it is to keep going. Even if it's just 5 push-ups, even if it's a 10-minute walk, even if you're tired, move. This is not about becoming a machine. It's about reconnecting with your own strength. Your body isn't the enemy, it's your greatest ally. It wants to help you feel good, think clearly, and show up with presence. But you have to give it the chance. When you move with purpose, you activate energy that was asleep. You build confidence that no one can give you. You remind yourself that you're in control. And that control, that inner strength, transfers to every part of your life. You don't have to do what everyone else is doing. You don't need to follow a perfect plan. You just need to move in a way that challenges you and reminds you who you are. Because when you move daily, you stop drifting. You stop settling. You stop waiting for change and start becoming the change. Let movement become your anchor. Let it ground you, wake you, strengthen you. Not next week, not when you feel like it. Today, now. Your future self isn't hoping you'll feel motivated. They're hoping you'll show up. So move and become the strongest version of yourself. Slow down and look within. Awareness is the beginning of change. In a world that rewards speed, silence feels foreign. We wake up, reach for our phones, jump into emails, scroll through timelines, and move from one task to the next, rarely stopping to ask the most important question: how am I really doing? Most people aren't avoiding growth because they're lazy. They're avoiding growth because they're distracted, constantly moving, constantly reacting, constantly performing. But the truth is this: you can't change what you refuse to face. And you can't face anything until you slow down long enough to feel it. Slowing down isn't weakness, it's strength. It's choosing awareness over autopilot. It's stepping out of the noise and saying, let me check what's actually happening inside me. Because here's the thing: many of your patterns, decisions, and emotional reactions aren't random. They're rooted in something deeper. But if you never pause, you never notice. You keep living the same day over and over. You keep carrying the same weight without realizing where it's coming from. You might be showing up in the world with a smile, hitting your goals, staying productive, but inside, you feel tired, frustrated, off, and you can't quite explain why. That's why slowing down matters. You don't need more noise. You need clarity. Clarity doesn't come from doing more. It comes from being still, from sitting in quiet and asking the questions that most people avoid. What am I really feeling? What have I been running from? What thoughts or habits are no longer serving me? Am I acting from intention or just reacting from habit? These are the questions that bring truth to the surface, but they don't shout. They whisper, and you only hear them when you're willing to pause. Too often, people confuse productivity with progress. They rush through life, chasing results, chasing approval, chasing what looks good from the outside. But you can be doing well and still feel lost. You can check off every box and still feel disconnected from yourself. That's not a life of purpose. That's a life on autopilot. Real growth isn't just about moving forward. It's about moving forward in the right direction. And that direction comes from inner alignment, not external validation. But you'll never find alignment if you never check in. You'll never feel peace if you keep avoiding your truth. Sometimes your exhaustion isn't physical, it's emotional. Sometimes your confusion isn't about what's happening today, it's about what you never resolved yesterday. Sometimes your frustration isn't with others, it's with yourself. And that's okay. You're human. We all carry things. But the healing begins when you acknowledge it. So create the space. Turn off the noise. Close your eyes. Breathe. Sit still. Not to escape, but to listen. Listen to your thoughts, your fears, your dreams, your doubts. Don't judge them. Just notice them. Because awareness doesn't require action. It requires honesty. And with honesty comes power. You may discover that you've been pushing yourself too hard, or that you're tolerating things you no longer align with, or that you've outgrown certain habits, people, or mindsets, but you haven't admitted it yet. The goal isn't to have all the answers. The goal is to finally ask the right questions. When you build the habit of checking in with yourself, everything else becomes clearer. You make better decisions. You stop chasing things that don't matter. You stop pouring energy into proving something to others. You start living from the inside out. You don't need a breakdown to begin this practice. You don't need to wait until life forces you to pause. Start now, when you still have the strength to lead the change on your own terms. Even just a few minutes a day can shift your awareness. And the more you do it, the stronger your emotional intelligence becomes. You stop being reactive. You stop carrying pain that no longer belongs to you. You stop saying yes when you mean no. You begin to live in alignment, not just with your schedule, but with your soul. This is how you build real confidence, not by pretending to have it all together, but by getting real with yourself, by knowing who you are, by facing what's true, and choosing to grow from it. You don't need permission to slow down. You don't need a retreat or a special app. You need courage. The courage to be still. The courage to ask, am I living the life I want, or just the one I've been conditioned to follow? Because once you get honest, everything starts to shift. You'll notice what's weighing you down. You'll notice what's out of alignment, and you'll be able to let it go. Not out of anger, but out of clarity. From that space, you'll make better decisions. You'll protect your peace. You'll stop trying to prove and start trying to be. That's where real power lives. So, slow down. Not to stop moving, but to start moving with meaning. Pause. Not to quit, but to breathe, to recalibrate, to reconnect. And remember, when you get clear inside, life flows differently outside. Face the one problem you've been avoiding and change everything. There's always that one issue. You know the one. You think about it when the room gets quiet. It lingers in the back of your mind when you're trying to focus. You push it aside. Distract yourself. Tell yourself you'll deal with it later. But later never comes. And all the while, that problem continues to grow. Not because it's unsolvable, but because it's being ignored. Avoidance doesn't erase problems. It hides them. And what hides multiplies. The truth is, most of the stress and frustration you feel isn't from the problem itself. It's from the constant energy you spend trying not to face it. Whether it's a decision you've been postponing, a conversation you keep dodging, a habit you know you need to break, or a responsibility you haven't fully owned, you know exactly what it is. And deep down, you also know this. You won't move forward until you deal with it. Fixing that one thing might be uncomfortable. It might require honesty. It might even hurt a little. But what it gives you in return, clarity, energy, freedom, is worth far more than the weight you're currently carrying. Every day you delay, you give that problem more power. It drains your focus. It lowers your confidence. It steals your momentum. Not because you're incapable, but because avoidance weakens you from the inside out. Facing the issue isn't about having all the answers. It's about reclaiming ownership, It's about saying, I may not fix this in one day, but I'm done pretending it's not there. That's where real change begins, not in perfection, but in responsibility. Start by getting honest. What are you really avoiding? What fear is driving your hesitation? What would it feel like to finally deal with it? Maybe it's admitting that something in your life isn't working anymore. Maybe it's acknowledging that you've outgrown a certain relationship, environment, or identity. Maybe it's time to forgive someone or yourself. Or maybe it's simply following through on a promise you've broken to yourself too many times. Whatever it is, stop telling yourself it's not that bad. Because if it keeps resurfacing in your thoughts, if it keeps showing up in your stress or silence, it's real, and it's asking for your attention. You don't need to solve it all at once, but you do need to start. That first step might look like a difficult conversation, or opening a notebook and writing it all down, or setting a boundary, or making a phone call, or saying the words you've avoided for years. This isn't working. It doesn't have to be dramatic. It just has to be real. When you stop avoiding the problem, something powerful happens. You stop lying to yourself. You stop giving your power away. You step back into integrity with your future. Because when you fix that one thing, your energy comes back. Your mind clears up. Your direction sharpens. You begin to believe in yourself again, not because everything is perfect, but because you know you're no longer running. Avoidance might feel easier in the moment, but long term, it costs far more. It costs you peace, progress, confidence, trust in yourself. But when you face what you've been running from, you begin to reverse that damage. Here's what you must understand. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's the decision to act despite it. You might feel shaky, uncertain. That's okay. That means you're touching something important. But discomfort is not a reason to delay. It's a sign that you're finally on the edge of a breakthrough. So stop telling yourself stories about why now isn't the right time. The right time is when you decide to take back control. The life you want isn't waiting behind the next excuse. It's waiting behind your next act of honesty. And you don't need anyone's permission to do this. You don't need a detailed plan. You just need the willingness to say, I'm done avoiding. Fixing that one problem doesn't just solve an issue, it shifts your identity. You go from someone who hides to someone who leads, from someone who fears decisions to someone who makes them, from someone who talks about change to someone who initiates it. That shift changes how you speak, how you walk into rooms, how you carry yourself. It builds quiet confidence, the kind that comes from living in alignment with your values, not from pretending everything's okay. So what's the one problem you've been running from? Name it, write it down, then act, not perfectly, just honestly. Even one small action can set the whole thing in motion. One courageous step can free you from months or even years of mental weight. You're not broken because you have unresolved issues. You're human, but you become powerful the moment you stop running from them. You don't have to fix your whole life today. You just need to face the one thing that's been blocking you. Clear it, clean it up, close the gap. Because on the other side of that avoidance is energy, clarity, peace, power. And once you feel that shift, you'll ask yourself, why did I wait so long to deal with this? So today, don't just keep moving. Start facing. Start clearing, start healing, and watch everything else begin to fall into place. Track your actions daily, the secret to real progress and consistency. Most people believe they're working hard. They believe they're doing enough. But belief without proof is often just a story we tell ourselves. That's why, if you're not tracking your actions, you're only guessing. And when you guess, you lose control. Growth doesn't happen by accident. It happens through awareness. It happens when you stop hoping things are improving and start measuring whether they really are. You can say you're being consistent, but how do you know? You can feel like you're focused, but what does the evidence say? When you rely on memory or emotion to evaluate your progress, you fall into a trap of assumptions, and assumptions lead to frustration. This is where the power of tracking comes in. Tracking what you do each day gives your goals structure. It removes the blur of, "I think I'm doing okay," and replaces it with clarity. "I know exactly what I did today to move forward." It gives you a mirror, one that reflects your habits, your patterns, your wins, and your missed opportunities. And the best part? It doesn't have to be complicated. You don't need an expensive app. You don't need color-coded spreadsheets. All you need is a notebook, a pen, and 5 minutes a day. At the end of each day, ask yourself, what did I do today that pushed me toward my goals? Where did I waste time or energy? What will I improve tomorrow? These simple questions create powerful self-awareness. They hold you accountable not to a boss, a coach, or the world, but to yourself. And that's where the deepest form of discipline is born. Here's what happens when you track daily. You begin to notice your distractions. You see where your excuses hide. You identify your most productive hours. You catch patterns you didn't know were sabotaging your momentum. Most people aren't inconsistent because they're lazy. They're inconsistent because they're unaware. They start strong on Monday, drift by Thursday, and wonder what happened by the weekend. But when you track, you see it clearly. And when you see clearly, you can fix it. Tracking also helps you stay motivated, not in the hype-driven way, but in the deeply satisfying sense of knowing you're actually moving forward. Because progress you can see is progress you can believe in. When you flip through pages of notes showing your effort, when you review a calendar full of check marks, you build something powerful, self-trust. That's the kind of motivation that lasts. You don't need to be perfect every day. You just need to be honest. If you skipped a workout, write it down. If you procrastinated, admit it. Don't lie to the page, because the page is your truth teller. And facing the truth is how you grow. And yes, some days will feel slow. Some days you won't hit your full stride. But even a 1% improvement matters. Even a single step is better than none. When you track those steps, you realize how quickly they add up. Think about it like this. One focused hour a day equals 30 hours a month. 30 hours of tracked action is momentum. Momentum builds habits. Habits build identity. Identity creates transformation. It all starts with writing it down. There's something powerful about putting pen to paper. It makes your effort visible. It turns intentions into action. It allows you to see yourself clearly, not who you wish you were, but who you actually are becoming. That's the gift of tracking. It brings awareness, and awareness leads to change. The hardest part of consistency is not starting. It's continuing. It's staying on track, even when you're tired, when results aren't visible yet, when motivation fades. But when you track your actions, you have a roadmap. You stay rooted in the process instead of getting lost in feelings. Most people don't lose because they're incapable. They lose because they stop. They lose because they forget how far they've come. But when you track, you don't forget. You see it. You feel it. You stay in the game. So start today. Write it down. Keep it simple. Track what matters most: your habits, your focus, your efforts. You don't need to track everything, just the things that create momentum. When you build a daily rhythm, you create flow. You no longer wait for motivation. You create consistency. And consistency is what wins long term. The results you want are not hidden behind some secret formula. They're hiding behind your daily behaviors. Track those. Watch how fast your confidence grows. Watch how much stronger your discipline becomes. Watch how quickly clarity replaces confusion. This is your life, and your time is too valuable to waste guessing. So, track it, review it, learn from it, and repeat it. Because progress is earned, not through intensity, but through consistent, measured action. One page at a time, one day at a time, one choice at a time. That's how real transformation happens. Mastery is repetition. Do it until it's boring, then keep going. Everyone wants progress. Everyone wants results. But few people are willing to repeat the same actions long enough to reach mastery. They get bored. They crave something new, and when progress feels slow, they move on, chasing fresh starts instead of lasting success. But here's the truth. Repetition is the path to mastery. Boredom isn't your enemy. It's a sign you're doing it right. In a world obsessed with speed and novelty, it's easy to believe that if something feels boring, it's broken, that you're not learning fast enough, that your routine isn't inspiring enough. But the reality is, real progress comes through doing the right thing over and over, long after the excitement wears off. The most successful people in any field, athletes, artists, entrepreneurs, aren't the ones who jump from strategy to strategy. They're the ones who fall in love with repetition, who do the basics every single day, who don't need constant variety to stay committed. They understand that greatness is built in the repetition, not in the rush. Because it's not just about doing something once, it's about doing it again, and again, and again, even when it feels dull, even when you don't feel like it, especially then. The boring stuff, that's the magic. That's the foundation. That's the part where most people quit and where winners double down. Look at anything you're good at now. You didn't get there by accident. You got there through repetition, reading, practicing, showing up. Whether it was riding a bike, learning to write, or managing your emotions, you practiced until it became part of you. And it wasn't always fun. It wasn't always exciting. But it worked. That same principle applies to your current goals. You want more discipline? Practice showing up daily, even when it's inconvenient. You want better health? Repeat your workouts and your nutrition plan, even when results are slow. You want peace of mind? Repeat the habits that support your well-being, even when life gets chaotic. It's not about doing everything. It's about doing the right things, consistently, quietly, faithfully. Repetition teaches you more than just skill. It teaches you patience. It teaches you emotional control. It teaches you how to keep showing up, even when progress is invisible. That's the secret most people miss. Success isn't loud. It's quiet. It happens in the daily discipline. The choices no one sees. The boring habits done with excellence long before the world notices. The reason repetition feels boring is because your brain craves novelty. It wants dopamine. It wants stimulation. But that craving is a distraction. If you let your need for excitement guide your actions, you'll keep quitting the moment things feel routine. That's why the greatest growth happens after boredom begins. Once the process stops thrilling you, and you continue anyway, that's when the habit sticks. That's when the action becomes automatic. That's when you separate yourself from the 99% who give up too soon. Boredom is not a sign to stop. It's a sign to lock in, to trust the process, to believe that you're building something even if you can't see it yet. You're not always going to feel motivated. That's normal. Motivation comes and goes. What stays is your habit. And your habits are built through repetition, not emotion. So repeat your process. Wake up and move. Review your goals. Take one small action. Stay consistent even when no one claps. Show up even when you don't want to. Make your actions part of your identity, not something you try to do, but something you are. You don't need more hype. You don't need more tricks. You need the discipline to repeat. The people who get results, they're not superhuman. They've just trained themselves to embrace repetition, to stop chasing the feeling and start trusting the pattern. Repetition is how confidence is built. Every time you follow through, you prove something to yourself. You strengthen your integrity. You build momentum. And that momentum is what eventually brings results. Even if it's small, even if it's slow. Tiny repeated efforts change everything. You might not notice it right away, but one day you'll look back and realize that boring thing I kept doing, that's what changed my life. So keep repeating. When it's hard, when it's dull, when no one is watching. Especially then. You don't rise to your level of motivation. You fall to the level of your systems. And repetition is the most powerful system of all. It's the bridge between who you are now and who you want to become. So instead of chasing excitement, chase mastery. Instead of needing variety, pursue depth. Do fewer things, but do them better and longer. And the next time you feel bored, smile. You're right on track. Repetition is not just what gets you there, it's what keeps you there. Conclusion: your life is built 1 hour at a time. You don't need to change your whole life in a single day. You don't need to have everything figured out. All you need is to take ownership of 1 hour every day. An hour to move, an hour to reflect, an hour to learn, to build, to heal, to grow. This hour is your anchor. It's where clarity is born, discipline is strengthened, and dreams begin to take shape. When used with intention, it becomes the most powerful investment you can make in yourself. You'll have days where motivation fades. You'll have moments where nothing feels like it's working. But remember, the secret is not in intensity. It's in consistency. Every step matters. Every action compounds. Every hour counts. So wherever you are right now, start there. Don't wait for perfect conditions. Don't wait for permission. You already have everything you need to begin. Just 1 hour, every day. That's how change begins. That's how lives are rebuilt. That's how you become the person you were meant to be.